Let's dive into a really simple, but honestly, a pretty profound idea. A meaningful life isn't something you just find, it's something you build. And it's not built with these huge, grand gestures. Nah, it's constructed with the small, deliberate choices we make every single day. So let's break down the architecture of how it's actually done.
It all really starts with this incredible truth from Aristotle. It's a game changer. We aren't our intentions, we're not our big dreams, we are the sum of our daily actions. This one idea, it's the blueprint for absolutely everything we're about to explore.
And that idea, it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? On one hand, it's terrifying because it means every little moment, every seemingly insignificant choice, it all counts. The pressure's on, but it's also unbelievably liberating because it puts all the power right back in our hands. We can literally build a new reality for ourselves, just one small choice at a time.
And here's where we often get it a little bit twisted. We tend to focus on the wrong things. We think it's the big, grand gesture, or that huge New Year's resolution that's going to define us. But the reality? It's the daily choice. It's what you did this morning and what you're going to do tomorrow morning, in those quiet moments when nobody's watching. That's where the real architecture of your life is built.
Okay, so if we accept that our habits are our building blocks, the next logical step is to figure out the mechanics behind it all. So section 1, let's get into the habit formula and figure out how we can make it work for us and not against us.
And this is where things get really interesting. See, it's not enough to just do things. The most important question we could ever ask isn't what should I do, it's why should I do it? That why, that's the engine. It's what drives every single meaningful habit.
But that simple question, why, well, it kind of opens up a whole can of worms, especially in the modern world. For a lot of us, that answer is, well, it's hard to find. And that brings us right to section 2, the crisis of purpose and the challenge of finding your why.
The writer Robert Greene absolutely nails it here. We are living in an age that is just starved for meaning. You know, all those old frameworks that used to give people a clear direction, things like rigid social roles or organized religion, they've kind of faded away.
So we're left with this weird paradox, We have more freedom and more choice than any generation in history, which is amazing. But that same freedom can leave us feeling totally adrift, not sure what to do with our time that feels, well, essential. Without a real defining purpose, even the most productive habits can just feel empty.
So, what's the answer? We have to build our own meaning. It's on us. We get to choose our repetitions, but that choice has to come from our inner knowledge, from our own strength. And, as the psychiatrist Viktor Frankl discovered in the most unimaginable circumstances, the ultimate source of that purpose, the greatest why there is love. The salvation of man is through love and in love.
All right, so we have our purpose, we have our why. So how do we actually go after it? Well, this brings us to a part of the process that seems a little backwards, but it is absolutely essential. Section 3, the practice of failure. It's the real path to growth.
Man, this quote from Tal Ben-Shahar just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures the central paradox of growth. See, excellence isn't built on a foundation of just winning all the time. No way. It's built on being willing to fail, to get it wrong, and most importantly, to learn from it.
And listen, this is a huge mental shift you have to make. You know that frustrating gap you feel between where you are right now and where you want to be? That is not a sign you should quit. That gap is the path. The moments of struggle, the drafts that don't work, the shots you miss, that is the work. That is what learning actually feels like.
So what does this look like in practice? It's basically a loop. You give it a shot, you inevitably fail or fall a little short. But then, and this is the absolute key, you have to actually articulate the lesson. What did you learn? What went wrong? Only then can you repeat the whole thing with that new insight. It's not just about mindless repetition. It's about intelligent repetition.
Okay, we've got the purpose, we've got the right mindset about failure. Now we need a practical system to turn all of that into a daily practice. That's what we're covering in Section 4. And for this, I love the tool from author Stephen Pressfield called the Foolscap Method. It's so simple. Before you start anything, you just take a single sheet of paper and you map out the basic structure. You turn that huge, intimidating dream into a simple, concrete plan. It's all about translating that big intention into a tangible first step.
And a huge part of any system like this is just asking yourself better questions.
People who get things done ask better questions. So instead of getting stuck in your head asking, am I talented enough? You just ask, okay, what's the next right action? And instead of chasing what's popular, you let your conscience guide you and you ask, is it right?
All right, let's pull all of this together now. In this final section, we're going to see how purpose, practice, and a simple system all combine to reveal one single, really powerful truth. And that's it. That's the truth. It's all so incredibly simple. Now, that doesn't mean it's easy. It's never easy. But the formula itself, it's surprisingly straightforward.
So, here it is, the whole shebang, the formula in just 6 steps. Find your why, find what you love. Then, show up for it consistently. Be willing to fail. Actually learn from that failure. Get back up, and then just repeat the whole cycle. That's it. That's the engine of excellence.
And ultimately, this all boils down to a choice that you make every single day, every single hour. Is this a live time where you're engaged in that loop of practicing and learning and growing? Or is it dead time, just spent waiting, getting distracted, scrolling? We are always choosing one or the other. And Leonardo da Vinci, my goodness, he understood the ultimate payoff. A life filled with meaningful practice, what he called a well-employed life. It doesn't just create amazing work. It creates this deep, profound sense of peace at the end of it all.
So after all of this, the only question that really matters is the one that's left for you. Knowing that you are what you repeatedly do, the question is, what will you choose to repeatedly do? Because that choice, it defines everything.